Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay, so hello everybody. We are transitioning. Thank you for amazing presentation, which I think is maybe also think a lot of things, and I'll kind of connect to that. So as Bettina said, my name is Oros. I'm from originally Czech Republic, but I'm currently finishing my PhD in Lisbon, Portugal, Nova School of Business Economics. And together with my team, which includes Sebastian, but also my advisor Samantha, Professor Samantha Sin, who is also here at EURAM this year, we are essentially trying to have a more critical look at life design as an approach and understand if it works, and if so, how it works, uncover some of the mechanisms from an empirical standpoint. So kind of, it's a continuation of a story, because last year in EURAM in Bath, when we met for the first time, when I met you for the first time, I sort of presented my first paper, which was a systematic review of life design theory and all the empirical interventions ever published up until now in a peer-reviewed journals. And that paper basically did a summary of what do we actually know about life design, because it's a very big buzzword now. Stanford, of course, is very much pushing it, very successful. Our team also got trained with them because they are the main provider of this training for now. But we don't really know actually if it works. I mean, it's a #1 Amazon seller, bestseller by the guys in Stanford, and it's very interesting intuitively, but from a research point of view, what do we actually know about this? And the answer was, well, not that much, it seems. So that's why the first paper mapped out all the interventions, and one of the key findings of the last year's paper was, well, life design actually has a surprising amount of evidence, substantial amount of evidence, but most of it is qualitative. Most of it is qualitative. A lot of it comes from career counseling settings, which is the work of Savikas and his team. A lot of it comes from case studies, and there's a huge lack of empirical, especially experimental evidence. So that's why my second paper that I'm building at the moment is basically trying to bring a randomized controlled trial to life design, and I'm going to tell you a bit about how we did it in this pilot study. Just a disclaimer, this is a pilot we did. We experienced some challenges in this journey with a lot of that I'm going to go into, and that's why the sample size and the data is not robust enough so we could make any conclusive findings yet. But there's some interesting things coming, but just a caveat. We're going to continue the data collection in October, so with new batch of students.
Can I just say I'm so excited that you undertook this.
Yes.
It's been challenging, but yeah, we're trying our best. And thank you. There's a need for it, I also feel, so that's why we moved into that. So research problem, super fast, because I know we're all familiar with it, and you also mentioned in Laura in the previous presentation. Basically, changes we are facing is unprecedented. It's a bit of a cliche now, unprecedented, but the truth is it's really happening fast. I'm sure we all feel that way. AI is just accelerating that thing, it feels, at least to me. Which means we have to be more adaptive as individuals and also as organizations. Just some statistics blew my mind. Most jobs we'll be doing, they are not invented yet. Actually, the kids that are now in primary schools, they will end up in jobs that don't exist as of now. So I mean, how can we give anybody advice when we don't know? Which means the traditional approaches to career matching, based on career matching, they are totally becoming obsolete. The idea of, oh, you are good at this, you'll be a lawyer. Oh, you're good at that, you're going to be an engineer. It's not working anymore. So we have to rethink how we approach career counseling, career coaching, but also for organizations, how do they continue developing their talent, right? Human resource management departments. So a lot of change we're dealing with. And so life design has emerged as one of the interesting approaches that has been gaining prominence, but with still some limitations in research.
Right, I'm just going to make a comment.
Yes.
Be careful about point number 3, because if you look at the Savikas work, like they're all A journal publications, they've got lots of empirical evidence,
yes.
But it's so when you use like the kind of life design that we're doing has limited evidence.
Very good.
We're kind of sort of dyadic therapeutic stuff that Savikas in their crowd is doing. Don't let him see the same stuff like like that, he's gonna rip you a new one. So just be,
For sure, for sure.
just be cautious.
And thank you for that point. And when I refer to CLD here, I do mean more group-based.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Stanford
about, but
live
like,
design
you know,
model. Yeah.
note some of those people, if they're in no room, like when you go to the Academy of Management, Savickas is gonna be in the room.
Yeah, no,
So,
I want to meet him.
Be cautious.
He's my personal hero in this literature. So, thank you for that point, yes. There is, and my first paper testifies, there is evidence empirically for
Yes,
live
certainly
design.
the last one's great. Rigorous for group-based
That's it.
design thinking.
That we still need to find out more.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm interested in, honestly, more in the group-based, since this is the approach we use with our students. So this is just, I'm not going to go into it, but to those of you who are completely new to live design, just to give you a quick summary, based on what Bettina also said, it's a more of a self-agentic approach. Individuals are seen as active authors of their own career futures and their own stories. And the idea is we can rewrite those stories, rewrite those narratives about who we are, about where we're going, what we want from our professional life. Hence the empowerment also. It's supposed to be empowering, and evidence suggests it can be. Based on constructivist paradigm, so it is very much inspired by social constructionism behind the theoretically, and yeah, we use a lot of interesting tools, visual tools, creative tools in this process. Now, just one note here. You know, I'm also a mindfulness practitioner, and I have a strong interest in meditation practices. And this morning I was in a wonderful talk by Eva about mindfulness, which is her expertise. Mindfulness, as you know, started also in a mental health space. It was a counseling kind of approach at the start, and it made its way up to organizational settings, to the point that now, 10 or 15 years later, mindfulness is like robust evidence behind it, and it's used in organizations. It's a serious topic of inquiry and practice. And I have a feeling that CLD, which now started very small thanks to the group of Bettina and this group we have here, is in a similar pathway potentially. It's very early. We are still kind of meeting in this way, rather small, but slowly it's growing. Evidence is building, and maybe 5-10 years from now, it could be in parallel with mindfulness. Hopefully, I believe that, and I think it's got a lot to offer. So this is basically it, just the pillars of live design. We can go into it afterwards. What I want to focus more on is the mechanisms of how this works potentially, and mainly the study will be found. Here, this is just a snapshot from my paper. I'm going to present this year also in another conference in Greece, in EGOS. Anybody going to EGOS this year? European Group of Organizational Studies?
Oh, I'll carry your bags.
Basically, what I'm trying to apply the lens of live design, that some of the mechanisms is, it may be seen as a performative theory, meaning live design, right, it's a stories, we say storytelling, is a lot of narratability there, but by taking the intentions and then taking the actions on those stories, we may manifest those things, we may create the self-fulfilling prophecies through the performativity of that theory. Does it make sense? There's a big literature on performativity, and I'm trying to explore if live design fits within this literature, and I make an argument that it does in my paper. So, yes. But in this paper, the research questions that we were interested in with my team were basically, does live design lead to development of psychological resources, namely, you can think of variables or measures we use like self-esteem, resilience, sense of flourishing, and others. So that's number one. And we predicted that it would. And number two, does it lead to development of career-related resources, specifically things like career decision-making, career self-efficacy, believe that you can, perform the job or, move professionally forward. And especially career adaptability, which, going to the beginning of the presentation, it seems to be such an increasingly important skill. If we are not adaptive, we are not going to be very resilient, and in this pace of change, that means that the more rigid we are, the more out of the game we will be, right? So, and again, AI is demonstrating that. So, we have to probably, we have to adapt more quickly this time. And my question is, does live design potentially help develop this ability? So, methodology we used was a randomized waitlist control experimental design. By waitlist, I simply mean that one group the treatment group received the training, while the group B, control group, they received the same training but later. They just had to wait. And we just measured them in parallel. Okay? We did it at my university in Lisbon with master students at NOVA, which is an international sample. We have a lot of students from Germany, a lot from Nordics, a lot of Portuguese students, of course. In English, recruited 84 students in the first batch with 50 students who completed the post-test survey. And just for transparency here, we actually aimed for longitudinal design, 3 months follow-up, but we had a huge attrition rates, and basically data was not sufficient to go to even the follow-up. So I just focus in this presentation on pre-test, post-test. Although the intention is to actually have a longitudinal follow-up with the next batch of students in the fall this year. Yeah, so we had about 2.5-hour sessions over a period of 4 weeks, 1 session a week in the spring of 24, and we used the Design Your Life model from Stanford. That was the benchmark. Okay, group-based CLD with a lot of interactivity and a lot of interaction. So,
were they master's students in business, MBA, or?
They were all master students.
In all different topics?
Yes. This is just the master student group. We also we also worked with career service department, which I have approached, and we integrated career service to the point that now we actually have a Design Your Life at Nova, at my school, together with them, which has been super exciting. They've been very supportive of us, of this research. So it's been delivered together with them. And what we have used, how does it work? To give you a taste, we use typical exercises they used in Design Your Life at Stanford. Life views, work views, exercises, Odyssey plans, they call them, which is simply imagining yourself, your future self, and not just one, but let's say 3 different versions of yourself 5 years from now, and how could you get there, okay? So really trying to open the mind of people, be creative, and brainstorm kind of your potential futures in a very engaging way. Having prototype conversations, actually getting out there, taking actions, small actions that you can allow you to fail quickly, failing fast rather than waiting for this perfect job and then realizing you didn't even want the job in the first place, right? So just trying to test these mindsets, these more agile ways of thinking. This is part of it. And yeah, basically, this is what we did. Measures we used, these are the 11 measures. I say 11 because protein and boundaryless carriers, they are merged in one kind of scale, but they are 2 constructs. I can explain in the questions and answers maybe. So these are the measures we used in our survey. It takes about 15-20 minutes. And we paid and incentivized the surveys to students. We actually paid, but we paid 10 euros for finishing the survey. And students also got credits, career credits for doing the training, subscribing to the training. That was from the career service team. So we tried to incentivize as much as we could, but still challenges we faced. So key results, I guess the most interesting part from this preliminary research. After doing repeated measures ANOVAs, comparing the 2 groups, overall career adaptability, which is the career adaptability scale here, or CAS by Savikas and Porfelli, actually significantly improved, and especially what we found was most notable improvement was in the curiosity dimension with strongest effect of partial eta squared, and that was very much the key finding from career adaptability standpoint. Compared to control group, students in the treatment really became significantly more curious about options they have, the career things, decisions they could take, and so on, which was so far what we have found from this very small sample. And also, surprisingly to us, contrary to our hypothesis as far as psychological resources were concerned, no notable changes. Self-esteem, flourishing, resilience all remained stable across the both groups. So psychological resources, we didn't find anything in this run. Another interesting thing was professional identity clarity. We had a measure for that, as you could see. We noted that there was a significant improvement in CLD group over a period of time, But again, we're just talking pre-test, post-test. I would wish we would be able to have enough data to look at 3 months later, 5 months later. As of now, we cannot. And some other measures that may be worth noting. Actually, here was interesting, the boundaryless mindset, for example, a scale that measures how kind of you see yourself working, you know, do you feel you are bounded to an organization and just in one location, or do you see yourself you could work from anywhere, for anybody, be more kind of, you know, nowadays freelance, remote, digital nomads kind of stuff. That's what this measure kind of captures. Control group improved compared to CLD group. We have some ideas why that may be. I'm curious also what you think. So yeah, overall the career-specific outcomes, they were the more responsive ones, not the psychological ones, which kind of makes sense in a way. Life design hopefully should help you with career decision-making, at least. Psychological resources, as of now, we cannot conclude much. Unfortunately, still a work in progress. Maybe just one thing mentioning here. Of course, students are also exposed to other things. They have a career development sessions, career coachings with our department, which is very good. Both of our groups got equal opportunities. So, you know, we kind of take that as something that would influence not just one group, but they were both exposed to the same things. But there are some broader contexts that influencing the groups, and we have not fully clarified what is going on there. So again, I welcome your suggestions or ideas on that. Just mindful of time, I don't know how much time I still
You have still time, no problem.
Yeah, okay, so I may slow down a bit. Discussion implications. So, based on this preliminary study, life design does appear to be more effective for career-specific competencies. So again, career decision-making, ability to be curious about your options, which is, all of them are very important in career literature. If we don't have the curiosity, you know, we are very much in a locked mindset. Well, your options are already limited. Right? Somebody who's more curious and open-minded and tries things may get to more meaningful, value-aligned job faster. So I still think this is a very interesting finding that could lead to exploration behaviors. Here, just to be accurate, we didn't find that those were enhanced. We didn't follow up. We don't know if they took the actions. But the measure of curiosity that could lead in greater exploration does seem to be a good, promising evidence of that. Professional identity clarity, some improvements there, but again we need more robust sample to conclude that more strongly. And overall, I think this is just a promise to continue gathering data with the next group of 100 students in autumn, hopefully having more statistical power to conclude something or find something interesting here. Overall, I think there is a value of life design for university settings, for higher education. My first paper demonstrated that. Vast majority of papers, 67%, were coming from educational settings, from higher education settings. Some from secondary education too, where is a big promise. So life design definitely, I think, is valuable for those settings. This paper is just suggesting it. It cannot conclusively offer it based on the data we have. So, limitations and future research. Of course, the sample size, as you saw, we have about 21 and 29 in 2 conditions. It's not ideal for randomized controls. Ideally, we want to have at least 100, even more, maybe even 200, you know, as much as we can actually. That's the challenging part of this. It's not been easy, but we've been just pushing and we continue going forward. Cultural context, therefore we cannot generalize based on these findings. We have to be honest with you, of course, and transparent. And as you know, we need more participants. Also, the immediate post and pre-test, post-test. This is cool, but it's not enough. For life design, we would love to know at least some follow-ups, 3 months, 5 months, maybe even more. You know, this is tremendously lacking in the literature. Longitudinal designs are very scarce in this field. And actually my third paper, which maybe next year I'll present at EURAM, let's see, maybe this one will be next year fully rounded, is actually about longitudinal follow-up of up to 1 year with a group of unemployed Portuguese adults in their 50s. So it's going to be a completely different group that we have done training with them, and that's another big challenge to keep up with somebody for 1 year. I guess for anything, it's very hard, but we've been also pushing on that front. So just to wrap it up, still a lot of exciting exploration we can do here. I think there's a lot we can offer to people, especially right now in these times of uncertainty and transition. And I hope that this paper is kind of a small stepping stone towards getting there in the next months and year ahead. It's also part of my PhD, so of course I'm trying to, kind of narrate a coherent story of life design, how it could help people who are, students, but also people who are older unemployed participants who are struggling with at a different stage of life with their careers. And so, yeah, this is basically my research as of now. Thank you very much for your time, and any questions?